The dust hadn't even settled on our new 20-acre plot in Nevada when the trouble started. It was June 2024, and my wife, Sarah, and I had just closed on a piece of land we dreamed of for years, a rugged, sun-scorched haven far from the soul-crushing hum of city life. We'd checked every box to ensure this slice of freedom was ours, free and clear of any homeowners association. I even hired a lawyer, a sharp guy who specialized in property disputes, to confirm there was no HOA lurking in the fine print. This land was our escape, our chance to breathe. Sarah was already planning a vegetable patch. Our kids were chasing lizards through the sagebrush, and I was hammering stakes for our tent when the roar of an engine shattered the quiet. A black SUV tore up the dirt road, kicking up a cloud of grit. Out stepped a woman in a tailored blazer, her eyes cold as a snake's. My gut twisted. This wasn't a neighborly visit. Her name was Vivian Caldwell, and I recognized her instantly. Years ago, I'd helped derail her shady attempt to seize a historic estate in a legal battle that made headlines. My testimony had been a small but pivotal nail in her coffin, and now, standing on my land, she looked like she'd been nursing that grudge ever since. "This is private property," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You're trespassing on Desert Bloom HOA land. You have 15 minutes to leave." I kept my cool, dusting off my hands and holding up my deed. "Ma'am, this land is mine. County records confirm it's outside any HOA." She barely glanced at the papers before tossing them back at me. "Our development plan includes this parcel," she sneered. "Take it up with the board." Then she signaled two burly men, her so-called security, who started toward our tent. One grabbed our generator. The other eyed Sarah and the kids with a smirk. That was their first mistake. 10 years in the Army had taught me to stay calm under pressure, but I wasn't about to let anyone threaten my family. I gave a clear warning. "Back off my property." They laughed. Big mistake. In one smooth motion, I sidestepped the first guy's lunge, swept his legs, and sent him crashing into the dirt. The second charged, but I caught his arm, twisted, and planted him face first beside his buddy. They were groaning in the dust within seconds. Vivian's face turned crimson. "You'll regret this," she shrieked, vowing to call the real authorities before speeding off. I stood there, heart pounding, brushing dirt off my sleeves, knowing this was far from over. Sure enough, the sheriff arrived not with sirens, but with a slow, deliberate roll. He took one look at the scene. Two goons dusting themselves off, Vivian's SUV long gone, and me holding a folder thick with proof of ownership. He read every page, nodded, and turned to the guards. "This land's not under any HOA. You're the ones trespassing." He cuffed one for attempting to assault me, and I watched Vivian's taillights disappear in a haze of dust. Sarah and I exchanged a glance, relieved but wary. We knew Vivian wasn't the type to back down. Days later, a thick envelope arrived, reeking of trouble. Inside was a notice from Desert Bloom HOA, demanding $10,000 for unauthorized structures, like our tent and generator, plus violations for not submitting plans to a non-existent review board. Sarah's hands shook as she read it. "This is insane, Mark," she whispered. I felt the same rage bubbling up, but I stayed focused. This wasn't just a bully tactic, it was a calculated move. I called an old friend, Tom Reynolds, a former county clerk turned lawyer. "She's weaving a legal trap," he said, chuckling. "But it's built on sand." He flagged the case for the district attorney and connected me with a real estate fraud expert. Game on. Vivian's next move was pure venom. Flyers appeared in neighbors' mailboxes, screaming about our illegal encampment and threats to community safety. They claimed we were drilling unpermitted wells. We weren't. And hiring foreign contractors, Sarah's brother helping with the shed. It was a smear campaign designed to isolate us. But then I found her fatal error buried in her HOA packet. A fake 2011 integration plan claiming our land. I cross-checked it with county records, nothing. Instead, I uncovered our parcel was explicitly exempt from any HOA. This wasn't just harassment, it was fraud. I called Dr. Emily Harper, a GIS expert I'd worked with on past cases. She overlaid Vivian's fake map against official records, proving our land was untouchable, separated by a 200-foot buffer. Then she dropped a bombshell. Half of Desert Bloom's prime lots, owned by Vivian's cronies, were still federal land. never legally deeded. They'd been selling leases on property they didn't own. My fight wasn't just for our 20 acres, Anna Maria. It was about exposing a criminal empire. I compiled a report, maps, emails, footage of Vivian's goons skulking on our land at night, and sent it to the Washoe County Prosecutor's Office. The response was swift. Investigators descended, auditing Desert Bloom's books and unearthing a cesspool of corruption, secret meetings, siphoned funds, and fake documents. Vivian's patrol chief, a thug named Victor Viper Hayes, was an unlicensed fraudster with a rap sheet. An email from Vivian to her inner circle sealed her fate. Mark won't last. Bury him in fines and pressure. He'll sell. She'd underestimated me. The final blow came when Vivian erected a tacky Desert Bloom Annex kiosk on our property line, complete with defamatory flyers and a donation link to her personal PayPal. I called the journalist who'd broken the story, Lauren Brooks, and her follow-up article went viral. The prosecutor added racketeering to Vivian's charges after linking her to Viper's criminal network. At the hearing, our evidence binders, drives, and maps dwarfed Vivian's flimsy defense. The judge dissolved Desert Bloom, voided all fines, and sentenced Vivian to 7 years for fraud, forgery, and racketeering. Her empire crumbled, her mugshot plastered across the news. Today, our land thrives. Sarah's garden blooms, the kids swing from a tire under a cottonwood, and our home stands strong. Where Vivian's kiosk once sat, we built a stone marker with a plaque. Here fell the last lie of Desert Bloom HOA. A QR code links to our Archivia warning to others. People stop by to snap photos, inspired by our stand. I've started workshops, teaching landowners to fight back. One woman, tears in her eyes, said she thought her land was lost until she heard our story. That's why we fought, not just for us, but for everyone who's ever faced a bully. So, what would you have done against Vivian's schemes? Could you have stayed calm, or would you have fought fire with fire? Should we have pressed charges against her sister-in-law, or was letting her squirm enough? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more battles worth fighting.